We continue to get you the details as to how that security breach was actually planned and executed by the people who are presently into custody. Earlier we told you how this entire smoke bomb was collected. It was put inside a shoe with the help of a local cobbler. Now everybody who was involved in this conspiracy held a meeting at India Gate for around half an hour. It was decided that Sagar and Manoranjan will enter the parliament, give one color smoke bomb each of yellow color. They hid it in the cavity of their shoes, with Sagar brought from Lucknow as well, while the rest of them, Neelam, Anmol and Lalit Jha, were supposed to protest outside the parliament. Around 12 noon, Sagar and Manoranjan entered the parliament and threw the smoke bombs where the member of parliament was sitting. That's the bit of news information which is coming in. How this entire plan was executed, how they actually planned it and made it possible. This crime that was committed by all of them subscribing to a hard left ideology. That's been their political affiliation so far, which has come out in the public domain. Presently, all of them into custody. There are various other people who are believed to have been a part of this entire conspiracy, and it is expected that the police is going to get more people for interrogation. They will have more conversations with other people who are allegedly part of this entire conspiracy. Anand Narasimhan with us on the broadcast. Anand, earlier you were pointing out how this was a well thought out, coordinated attack and a security breach that was planned. We are putting out part 2 of the details, where how these different individuals will be placed inside the parliament building was decided amongst them.
Yes, it was. And I think what was decided is that parliament breach or to do something, making some noise in parliament was something that was discussed between these people when they decided this about 9 months ago. So this has been carefully planned. It was ideally planned for the 14th of December, but they got the passes for a day in advance. So they were hectically lobbying for the passes, and they had all congregated in Gurgaon 3 days in advance, around the 10th itself. So 3 nights and 2 days is what they had already spent. And since the passes were given to them for the 13th, so they advanced their plans by 1 day. Now, ahead of coming to Parliament, Sagar actually goes to Sadar area and buys 2 flags so that they are above suspicion. He gives himself and Manoranjan the 2 pairs of shoes in which a cavity had been put, and they install the canisters. They decide to hold the canisters and along with that throw a few pamphlets just to show that they don't intend to cause any harm, but yes, they do want to create a certain amount of noise on ground. But these people entered with the whole idea of trying to be absolutely above suspicion. Imagine carrying the flag in your hand, national flag in your hand, coming as families or ordinary people.
Anand Narasimhan getting us all those details. Anand, your audio was breaking. I believe we can hear you now. Please go ahead.
So Sagar and Manoranjan were the people who decided that they will go into parliament and they will create the ruckus that they intended to create. And Neelam, Lalit and some of the others would be protesting outside, raising their voice outside. So this is how the entire modus was planned. They met for about half an hour in India Gate. Sagar even gave them the flags, and then they came in and entered parliament, and this is how they went ahead and planned the entire operation.
Okay, I'm just going to also put out for our viewers some more exclusive details which are coming out that we are getting for you here on CNN News 18. Our investigation editor Manoj Gupta gets us these details. Now, it was decided in the meeting that was held at the India Gate that they should not throw these smoke bombs. Instead, they should hold them in their hands so that it can be relayed. And these bombs were harmless. Sagar, as Anand was also pointing out, also hid some pamphlets in his shoes inside the parliament, as my colleagues have been reporting. Pallavi pointed this out yesterday. You can't even take a piece of paper. They were supposed to throw these pamphlets after throwing the smoke bomb. Sagar left Gurgaon at around 5:30 a.m. on the 13th of December. He reached the Huda city centre to collect his Aadhaar card. He also met his family friend Ansh, had sent the bus driver of UP Roadways, and after collecting his documentation, which is required for you to enter the Parliament building, he went to Rajiv Chowk, and from there he met the other people of his group and reached the Parliament building. This is how exactly the chain of events unfolded as we talk about this particular incident that unfolded. A very unfortunate security breach that happened. The so-called intention of any of these people is not really important. The fact that this is the Indian Parliament, the fact that it poses grave danger to the security of the parliamentarians who are elected leaders of this country is of utmost importance, and the authorities will have to figure out how exactly this breach was committed. After this breach was done, the measures inside the parliament have been further tightened. The entry of most of the people have been restricted other than the Member of Parliament and the essential staff. A thorough security drill would be carried out. It will be ensured that any kind of incident or whatever slip-up happened this time does not happen from here on. Anand, I believe, is with us on the broadcast. Anand, we are putting out the details of how exactly it transpired, but huge questions about the manner in which the security breach really happened and a lot of introspection that the security staff will have to do at the new Parliament building.
Yes, they will have to, but the fact is that these people had planned it in such a way that they remain above suspicion. To put in the canister inside or at the bottom of their shoes is something, and they all, like we have said, they all look very, very armed Nagrik or ordinary citizens of the country, coming from very humble backgrounds. So for many who walk into Parliament, it's like a dream come true, and that is how they walked in. And they planned it in such a way that they would be above suspicion. And that's why they were carrying the flags with them, national flag with them. Like we said, that they met at India Gate, discussed this for half an hour. Sagar and Manoranjan, it was decided, will be the ones who will go into Parliament. And they were youngsters, and that's why they were able to jump down that one floor into the floor of the house from the audience gallery. And they figured out how they would do it, and then they jumped. The others were supposed to sloganeer and make noise outside. Some of them had been even refused a pass inside. They actually wanted to walk in with their families to be totally above board. And many believe, given the impression that other than some of these people who were part of this entire group that planned it, even their own nearest family members were not aware of their machinations. So that's where we have the details. But what they were shouting is something that points to the fact that they have been brainwashed towards believing a certain ideology. This is an elected government and this is Parliament. This is not the British Raj. And Bhagat Singh was not a communist, but the entire urban Naxal group or the communist group seemed to have appropriated Bhagat Singh, and there seems to be a justification saying if Bhagat Singh could do that with the British Raj, we can do it today, 75 years after our independence, and challenge the intelligence and the might of a voter. It's a democratically elected government, and for them to come out and push this Tanashai narrative, this is something exactly that was shouted by the hard left, ultra left, urban Naxal groups that also were seen shouting this during the farmers' protest, etc. And some of them have been involved with these groups very actively.
Yeah, you rightly point that out. Thank you, Anand, for putting all of that into perspective. We'll continue getting you all the details about how this modus operandi was really executed, what the chain of events really was, what the police is looking at in this investigation, a 360-degree view of this entire story, and a mammoth security breach that happened inside the Parliament. We'll continue getting you much more on the other side of a very quick break. Stay tuned, stay with us.
Hello, Moto. Hello, Moto.